big changes coming out of the IRS, and it could affect you and your tax situation this year. It's important to pay attention. Look, none of us like to deal with taxes, right? But it's part of life. And when big changes happen, we better pay attention because we want to stay in the good graces of the Internal Revenue Service. I'm going to tell you all about it in this video right now. You'd rather be talking about silver or gold. Trust me, I would too, but we have to deal with the realities of life, one of which is taxes. Before we know it, it's going to be February and March, and we'll be dealing with our taxes. There's two big changes we need to talk about. One, reporting of income and Form 1099-K, which is going to affect millions, tens of millions of us. And the second is the child tax credit. So first, on this Form 1099-K, that's reporting of income, there was a big, major change. Essentially, it's this. If you received payments on something like PayPal or Venmo, and it was over $600, PayPal and Venmo are now required to report that to the IRS and simultaneously send you a Form 1099-K. Now, you've likely never received a Form 1099-K. Don't ignore it because that is being reported to the IRS. It's a big change because up until this year, the threshold was much different. It had to be over $20,000 in transactions or over 200 transactions. This will affect millions of people. What it essentially means is that if you cut your Uncle Eddie's grass once a week for, let's say, 12 weeks during the summer, he gives you $100 each week to do that, $1,200 on PayPal or Venmo. That will be reported to the IRS, and simultaneously you will get a Form 1099-K from PayPal or Venmo, and you must report that on your taxes because you do not want to get on the wrong side of the IRS and trigger an audit. While the IRS changed their threshold, I'm not changing my threshold for you to come join me here in Ron's Basement. You are always welcome from wherever in the world you are. If you get some value from the content, please subscribe right here. You are important, and I value the fact that you've decided to join this time right now with me. The government wants to make sure that people doing side jobs, maybe that have a side hustle, are reporting all of their income. Now, it can get very complicated because sometimes we get payments on PayPal and Venmo that aren't for actual work. Maybe somebody's reimbursing us for something. It's going to potentially create a big mess. Potentially requiring people to go back to the payment provider and having them recode things or reclassify things so it's not considered income. Also, there's the issue of when people sell, like let's say you sell your old bike you have out in the garage and you get $300 for it. Well, if you'd purchased it 4 years ago for $600, then you shouldn't be taxed on the $300 that you sold the bike for. You actually incurred a loss, but you're not allowed to take the loss. There's going to be a learning curve in terms of how to deal with this, but please do the smart thing and do deal with it because you want to stay in the good graces of the IRS. And you can thank President Joe Biden for this. This change was kind of snuck in with one of the last relief plans that he passed during the early stages of his time at the White House. Now, the second big change that's occurring has to do with the child tax credit. There's a lot of conflicting information, a lot of political posturing that is still going on regarding how much the child tax credit will be, who will qualify for it. There's likely going to be some big changes. If you have children and you remember Back just a year and a half ago, there were monthly payments that came through, and then the rest of the credit was given with the tax return. They haven't ironed that out yet, and they're actually negotiating in Washington in terms of some corporate tax breaks, and certain politicians saying they aren't going to let the corporate tax breaks continue unless the child tax credit is continued. As usual, it's a huge, huge mess, but potentially expect some big, big changes in the child tax credit situation as well. At least that's my understanding. Now, while I do have a degree in accounting, I'm not a tax professional. I'm just sharing with you my level of understanding of these two big tax issues that will affect a lot of us come springtime when we go to complete our 2022 taxes. As always, even though we're not hammering away at the benefits of silver and gold, we got to deal with reality, and I'm so happy you decided to join me. Please come back. I'll see you next time here in Ron's Basement.